She said she was a hotel housekeeper. I said I was a food delivery guy. To save money for our wedding, we agreed to set up a street stall every night after work. But then we ran into each other at a grand banquet. She was the precious daughter of the Su family, Wei, and I was the fiancé she swore she would never marry. We were utterly dumbfounded. I had been playing an online game and fell for a girl with a beautiful voice. We agreed to meet in real life, but as a cautious second-generation heir, I couldn't reveal my wealth so easily, so I told her. I dropped out of high school. Now I work as a food delivery guy for a certain platform. I said, I'm sorry. My circumstances are too poor. I'm not good enough for you. As soon as I sent the message, she fell silent. More than 10 minutes passed. The chat window kept showing that she was typing. I thought she was struggling with how to reject me, but unexpectedly, she replied, I only have a high school education too. Right now, I work as a hotel housekeeper. We're the same. There's no such thing as not being worthy. So we decided to meet at People's Park for a walk. I wore a tennis shirt I got for 5.9 yuan, shipping included, from a discount app, and a pair of plain black pants for 19.9 yuan, shipping included. I even bought 2 cups of lemon tea from Mixu Bingcheng. After waiting a few minutes, Su Yue arrived. She was wearing a floral dress. Her legs were long and fair. And when she smiled, 2 little dimples appeared on her cheeks. So adorable. My heart couldn't help but skip a beat. Su Yue jogged up to me and came to a stop. A thin layer of sweat formed lightly on her forehead, bringing along a faint, sweet fragrance. She apologized first. Sorry, I couldn't find a place to park just now. It took me a while. I nodded understandingly. It's hard to find parking here. I've gotten fined a few times in this area. Wait! Something's not right. You have a vehicle? Su Yue was caught off guard. Her expression froze for a second. I have an electric scooter. This way, I can also do deliveries when I have time. What a tough life, juggling 2 jobs. But despite all that daily physical activity, she wasn't tanned at all. Her skin was as fair as snow, even more delicate than the rich young ladies I knew. She must have had a hard time. I couldn't help but feel a bit sorry for her. Don't push yourself too hard. Make sure you get enough rest. Su Yue's eyes sparkled with gratitude. She turned the concern back to me. We're all working hard. Even college graduates struggle to find jobs these days. Delivering food must be tiring too, right? This question caught me off guard. It is. The work itself isn't the worst part. The hardest thing is dealing with people. Some customers have no manners at all. They look down on me. Yue nodded knowingly. Our job is the same. We always run into unreasonable customers. I was afraid if she kept asking, she'd find out the truth. So I quickly handed her the lemonade. Su Yi accepted it with touched eyes. I've never had such an expensive drink before. I used to just walk by and watch other girls drink it. The moment she said that, hearing that, my heart filled with even more tenderness. It's okay. It's only 8 yuan. No need to be polite. She smiled, a little childlike. Her eyes curved into crescent moons, so pure and sweet. Under the sunlight, I found myself momentarily dazed. Wait! Something felt off. My cover story was that I was a food delivery guy earning 5,000 yuan a month. For someone like me, a 4 yuan cup of lemonade. I shouldn't have used the words only too. Luckily, Su Yue was too busy smiling sweetly. She hadn't noticed the inconsistency in my words. I hurried to cover up my slip. This is also my DY time drinking something this cheap. I took a cautious sip. What the hell? It tasted exactly the same as the 300 yuan lemonade from the cafe near my house. How was that possible? Damn it! Have I been getting scammed all these years? As Su Yue and I walked on, we unknowingly wandered into the matchmaking corner of the park. A group of enthusiastic elderly men and women swarmed toward us. They quickly surrounded us. Oh my! What a good-looking pair! You two must be siblings, right? You must be single, right? Come over here. Auntie will introduce you to someone. Both Suyue and I were speechless. Seeing that we were about to be swept away by the crowd, Suyue suddenly grabbed my wrist. She shouted, "We're already married." Then she pulled me and dashed out of the encirclement. Behind us, a booming voice from one of the aunties rang out. "Then come back when you get divorced." We ran, laughing all the way. We ran all the way to the other end of the park, finally stopping on the roadside, breathless and laughing uncontrollably. A supercar was parked by the street. A few traffic police officers were issuing parking tickets along the road. Suyue's movements suddenly froze. I followed her gaze and glanced over. A pink Ferrari, sleek design, undoubtedly expensive. No wonder Suyue couldn't take her eyes off it. I reassured her, only nouveau rich drive these. Walking is much better, eco-friendly and healthy. Even though my garage was filled with luxury cars, that didn't stop me from trash-talking myself. She was silent for a moment. And they park so recklessly. Typical inconsiderate nouveau rich. As someone who had received multiple parking tickets, I consoled myself internally. Don't take it personally. She doesn't mean it. Suyue pointed towards the shopping mall. Let's go eat. Across from the park was a bustling shopping street. The moment we stepped inside, I ran into someone I knew. My childhood friend Chu Wangsing. Dressed like a rich young master. A Rolex worth millions on his wrist. A store attendant trailing closely behind him. Originally, we could have avoided crossing paths, but the sharp-eyed store attendant spotted me first. She cheerfully called out, "Young Master Gu, you're here too." I quickly turned my face away. The motion was so sudden, I nearly twisted my neck, but it was too late. Chu Wangsing had already seen me. He dashed out of the store, his eyes scrutinizing the loose threads on my cheap clothes. And the Mixu Bingchong lemonade in my hand. I picked up my pace. I wanted to see XZ and slip away quickly, but Chu Wangsing was even faster than me. He stepped right in front of me, blocking my path. What the hell are you up to? All right. Time to put on a show. I wailed, "I'm sorry, young master. Last time I delivered food to your house, I shouldn't have secretly complained about how bad your cat's poop smelled, even though it really stank. But you already filed a complaint against me. There's no need to come after me again." Chu Wangsing looked completely dumbfounded. "I'm leaving. You'll never see me again. I hope you and your cat live happily ever after." With that, I grabbed Suyue's arm, dragging her away in a hurry. Suyue fumed on my behalf. "He gave you a bad rating for no reason?" I blinked guiltily. "Ah, well. Rich people are like that. Cold-blooded and heartless." She gave me a quiet, unreadable look. "You don't seem to like rich people very much." I nodded. "A lot of them look down on the poor, and their morals are questionable too." Suyue fell silent. After a long pause, she said, "Actually, there are a few rich people who are good. To be honest, I thought the same. After all, I was one of them. But I put on a skeptical expression. Never sympathize with capitalists." We stopped in front of an upscale barbecue restaurant. Suyue hesitated. "It looks kind of expensive." I boldly pulled out my phone, flashing my balance at her. "It's fine. Just got my 6,000 yuan paycheck." Suyue covered her mouth with both hands and let out a surprised, "Wow, 6,000 yuan? That's twice my salary." At that moment, two girls walked past us, chatting about their mortgage. "Can you believe how expensive housing is nowadays? My monthly mortgage alone is 6,000 yuan. How could I even think about getting married or having kids?" Suyue and I both fell silent. What now? We hadn't even started eating, and already the weight of financial struggle in marriage was suffocating us. I cleared my throat. Pretended I hadn't heard a thing. Let's go in. I'm starving. When ordering, Suyue only picked a few of the cheapest dishes, worried she wouldn't eat enough. I eagerly added a whole bunch more. Halfway through our meal, my dad called. He got straight to the point. The Su family's daughter is back in the country. When are you planning to meet her? A few months ago, I had suddenly learned that I had a fiancée. She was the granddaughter of my grandfather's old comrade in arms. Apparently, the two elders had made a verbal promise to become in-laws, arranging our engagement from childhood. Now that the Su family had returned to settle business affairs, the topic resurfaced. For weeks, my family had been nagging about it. Annoyed, I buried myself in gaming to escape. Ironically, that led me to meeting Suyue. I brushed off my dad over the phone. Told you, I'm not interested. I don't like her and I don't want to meet her. I'm eating right now, don't ruin my mood. You'll make me XHBL malnourished again. And with that, I hung up. Facing the concerned gaze of Suyue, I gave a bitter smile. My family is poor. She wants me to get close to the daughter of the village head. But I won't give in. Suyue bit her delicate lip. If anything happens, you must tell me. I have some savings too. I hummed in response. In my heart, I thought even if she had money, it would never compare to mine. As we were finishing up, I quietly slipped away to pay the bill. The cashier was a girl with her hair in a bun. I thought about how Suyue had looked earlier when she was concerned about the money. I couldn't help but feel a sweetness in my heart. I specifically reminded the waitress, I'll come back later to pretend to pay the bill. Just tell them we're the 100th table today, and we've won a free meal. But when I came back to settle the bill, I found that the cashier had been replaced. At the front desk sat a girl with twin ponytails. When she saw us, she first nodded slightly at Suyue. Her face relaxed as she passed the matter to me, her expression assuring me everything was fine. She said, "Congratulations, you get a free meal today." Suyue smiled faintly, as if she had already predicted everything. Really? We're so lucky. The girl with twin ponytails replied, "Yes. Today is our boss's wife's divorce anniversary." I was shocked. Is that true? What a coincidence. Suyue furrowed her brows. Divorce anniversary? That reason doesn't sound very auspicious. The girl with twin ponytails laughed awkwardly. Sorry, I'm not very good at improvising. Well, today is also the anniversary of her second marriage, so we're celebrating. Suddenly, the door behind the cashier counter swung open. The girl with the bun hairstyle came out. As soon as she saw me, she gave me a knowing wink, then shouted, "Don't charge this table. They're the 100th table today. They've won a free meal." I was speechless at her exaggerated performance, but I also guessed it was because Suyue didn't want me to spend money. She had secretly paid the bill at the front desk. The girl with twin ponytails and the bun-haired girl turned away and discussed something for a long time. Then, after a long pause, she said with some difficulty, "There's been a problem with the cashier system. Your table has won the free meal twice. I'll send you a red envelope from here." Suyue and I walked out of the barbecue restaurant, holding the boss's wife's second marriage red envelope. Second marriage red envelope. Suyue thoughtfully asked, "Should I take you to the subway station? But I've called my family's driver to pick me up at this intersection." I refused 3 times. No, it's fine. Please don't send me. Where did you park your electric bike? I'll take you there. The smile that had been on Suyue's face vanished. She fell silent for a moment. How about we just go home separately? I guess that Suyue might not want me to see her electric bike. It was a little pride of hers as a girl. I looked at her sincerely. Can I take a look at your electric bike? I'm actually thinking of getting one myself. For some reason, after hearing my words, Suyue's expression grew even more desperate. She said with difficulty, "Okay, an electric bike. I can have one, but I don't remember where I parked it. Let's go find it then." On the way to find the bike, my phone rang. It was Uncle Yan, the driver. Uncle Yan, young master. I've gone around the block 10 times already. The traffic police have stopped me twice for inspection. When will I be able to pick you up? I said, it's fine. It's not a fake call. Let them check. Just as I finished speaking, I saw my Rolls Royce on the side of the road. Uncle Yin helplessly pulled out his ID and showed it to the traffic police. Comrade, I just have a lot of fuel. I'm in a rush. Really not scouting out the terrain for D. The traffic police, really? I hear something off in your accent. Uncle Yen was aggrieved. I swear, it's the authentic Mandarin. At that moment, I happened to walk past the two of them. Uncle Yen, just hang in there a little longer. I'll be in the car soon. After watching Su Yue wobble away on her electric bike, I couldn't help but feel she had it tough too. The bike was in such poor condition, and she was delivering express parcels. She really was an ambitious, good girl. After a deep sigh, I got into Uncle Yan's car and headed home. As soon as I entered, I saw Chu Wangxing sitting on the sofa. He sneered and said, "Come on, tell me. What ridiculous stunt did you pull today?" I confessed honestly, pretending to be a delivery guy. Gu Ran, you really are something. You're playing things so recklessly. Will your family agree? And what about your fiancée who is about to return to her home country? I couldn't refute that. The conversation ended on an awkward note. That night, I went clubbing with him at the newly opened bar. The lights in the bar were green, but I was only focused on texting Su Yue in the booth. I constantly reminded myself of my persona, still delivering takeout. So tired. Su Yue, I just finished my night shift. I'll come keep you company. I straightened my back in fright. No need. I'll be done quickly. No way. If you don't let me accompany you, I'll be mad. What does being self-righteous and unable to live mean? I was texting while asking the driver to bring over the takeout uniform I bought. I was rushing back toward the bar entrance. Suddenly, I stopped in my tracks. I nearly tripped on the stairs. A slender figure appeared in front of me. It was Su Yue. She was wearing a white long dress. She looked particularly sweet. But that wasn't the point. The point was we were about to collide. In this narrow corridor, we crossed paths. Her pale little face was filled with surprise. I took the initiative. Aren't you on night duty? What are you doing here? Delivering food to the guests. She pointed to the elegantly made-up MN beside her. MN had a face full of questions. Food? Su Yue's foot. You just ate, and you already forgot? I'm a hotel cleaner. You're a hotel guest. You asked me to deliver a bowl of snail noodles. Don't you remember? MN looked dumbfounded. Did you take the wrong medicine? Su Yue, yes. She even took medicine. She ate too quickly. I even went to buy her some digestive pills. So she called me in to get the money. It sounded quite reasonable. Su Yue calmed down from her panic. She stared at me. How did you end up here? Me, actually, besides delivering takeout, I also clean toilets at the bar. The hourly rate here is higher. Su Yue's eyes were filled with pity. She asked, how many toilets are left? I'll help you clean them. After saying that, she glared at MN beside her. You just said you're the boss here. I'm working with my boyfriend. You don't mind, do you? Su Yue and I each took a brush. We stood at the bar restroom door, but I couldn't bring myself to step inside. This money! Is it really necessary to earn it? Why don't you go wait outside for me? I'm experienced. I clean quickly. Once you leave, I'll just stay a few more minutes before heading out. Su Yue refused. It's always good to have another helper. I can't leave you alone. Why are you so stubborn? You're such a silly girl. It was both funny and bittersweet, with a touch of sweetness. I felt mixed emotions. I wanted to try and persuade her again, but Su Yue interrupted me. Stop talking. Let's finish quickly and head back together. She dashed inside after speaking. MN, who was standing nearby watching the scene unfold, blocked her. Alright. The toilets for tonight were already assigned to another cleaning lady. You two should just leave. Suyue and I looked at each other. I felt an immense sense of relief inside, but I put on a wry smile on my face. Then let's leave this job to someone who really needs it. I took the initiative. Let's go. I'll take you home. Right now, I just want to quickly escape this unlucky bar. Suyue and I walked side by side on the street outside the bar. The wind was a bit chilly. I noticed her shiver. I quickly draped my jacket over her. Suyue blushed and said thank you. I asked, where do you live? Suyue suddenly stammered. She seemed to be caught in some dilemma. Her little face scrunched up. I live in the dormitory of Binjiang Hotel. Binjiang Hotel is one of the city's most luxurious hotels. It's about a half-hour drive from here. I took out my phone, ready to call a ride. But Suyue seemed concerned about the cost. A ride at this hour is too expensive. You've worked so hard to earn money. I felt a surge of emotion. How could there be such a considerate girl? Don't worry. I also get bonuses on the side. She hummed in acknowledgement. The streetlight illuminated her fair cheek. It seemed to be glowing. I couldn't resist. I bent down and kissed her on the forehead. The girl blinked at me like a little rabbit. Her eyes were filled with affection. I could see so much warmth in her gaze. It made my heart soften. After dropping her off at the hotel, the persistent brother showed up at my place again. Chu Wangxing, you seem pretty into this relationship, huh? Aren't you afraid that uncle and aunt will break your legs? Me, they'll like you way. Chu Wangxing pointed to the crutches in the corner of the room. Alright, you're a man. As your brother, all I can do is gift you a pair of crutches. You'll need them when your legs are broken. I was speechless. Well, thanks for that. As my feelings for Suyue deepened, I began looking for ways to confess my family background to her. I didn't want to be seen as a fraud, so I decided to take it slow. Me, is work busy lately? Suyue replied instantly. Recently, there's been more work, but overall, it's fine. Me, when you have free time, watch more idol dramas. Prepare yourself mentally. Suyue, a bunch of question marks. I explained in detail. It's those Cinderella stories where they marry the prince. These stories may seem childish, but sometimes they're surprisingly realistic. Suyue obediently replied, though I don't quite understand. I'll listen to you. Suddenly, I remembered something, by the way. I've got something to do this weekend. I might not have time for a date with you. My family and Su Group are starting a big partnership. There's a signing ceremony on Sunday morning. A major business collaboration. I have to be there. I've made excuses countless times, but eventually I'll have to meet with that Su family executive. I suddenly felt guilty. I sent Suyue a message. Don't worry. I only like you. Suyue sensed something was off. Did something happen? Me, I have to go back to the village this weekend for some matters. I also have to meet with the village chief's daughter, but I definitely won't like her. Suyue sent a cute emoji. Brother, if you have something going on, you have to tell me, okay? Don't carry it all by yourself. Actually, I also need to go back to the village this week for a banquet. When I return, I want to take you to meet my parents. I replied with okay. After putting my phone down, I swore that at this celebration, I would completely cut off my parents' expectations. What childhood engagement! I would firmly defend my freedom in love and marriage. The celebration was held at the D Hotel. The entire banquet hall was booked. The venue was filled with reporters. This collaboration between the two families had gained a lot of attention. As soon as I entered, the reporters immediately swarmed around me. Besides me, there was a beautiful figure surrounded by reporters as well. She was wearing a full gown. Her long, curly hair cascaded over her shoulders. The side of her face that occasionally appeared looked incredibly familiar. A name popped into my head, but I felt like I was overthinking it. No way, it couldn't be Suyue. She's on her way back to the village. I walked straight to my seat without glancing sideways. Suddenly, the lights in the entire venue dimmed. The spotlights above focused into a massive beam of light in the darkness. The exaggerated beam of light precisely landed on me. Then the host's strong voice echoed, "Please welcome the head of New Xiongzi, Mr. Guran." After introducing me, another beam of light descended from above. It shone on another person. And Miss Yue took the stage. I turned to look. The fiancée I had never met before was very beautiful. Her small face, about the size of a palm, her soft, delicate skin, and her big, watery eyes. The problem with Wei was that she looked too familiar. She looked a lot like my girlfriend, who claimed to be having a banquet in the village. Our eyes met. Both Suyue and I froze in place. The applause in the venue rang out. People around us were congratulating our families for the strong partnership. It was certain to make a huge wave in the business world. But the wave in my heart was enough to overturn the entire venue. Su Yue. Could it really be Su Yue? Is this a dream? Did I subconsciously dislike her job as a hotel cleaner? Is that why I imagined it? I looked at her. She looked at me. In the midst of the applause, Su Yue and I were petrified. It wasn't until the whispers around us grew louder that I regained control of my body. I mechanically took a step forward and walked on stage. Su Yue walked beside me. She reached out and pinched me. "Does it hurt?" I shook my head. "I've lost feeling." We were so close. I could even clearly see the tear mole under her eye. Moreover, her voice was exactly the same as I remembered. It really is her. Next, my mind went completely blank. Like a robot, I followed the process and signed the contract. It wasn't until we reached the interview segment that the reporter suddenly asked a sharp question. "Mr. Gu, there are rumors that you and Miss Su are about to marry, but it seems you are very unhappy about this marriage. If the marriage is called off, would it affect the cooperation between the two families?" As soon as he finished, I felt a sharp gaze on me, and of course it was Su Yue. Her eyes were filled with accusation. It was as if she was calling me a scumbag. "No! I didn't know you were the Su family's daughter." I immediately defended myself. "It's a rumor." "All rumors. I really like Miss Su. I'll only marry her in this life. If you hear such ridiculous news in the future, please ask me directly." The reporter then threw the question to Su Yue. She snorted. "Sorry, today we're only talking about the project. Please refrain from asking about these baseless rumors. It's over." Her tone immediately felt off. "She's angry." The reporter, hearing this, pressed on even more eagerly. "Oh, it seems Miss Su isn't happy with this marriage either." Su Yue shot me another glare. Her expression was all puffed up with anger. "One of my key standards in choosing a partner is honesty. Mr. Gu's current situation, it's under review." My vision went black. Seeing the reporter about to ask again, I quickly spoke up. "Thank you all for your enthusiastic support. The press conference ends here for today. I've prepared generous red envelopes for each of you. Go ahead and collect your money." At the celebration banquet, my dad and Mr. Su were seated at the head table, clinking glasses and toasting. They were discussing the project's future. Su Yue and I sat beside them. We exchanged polite glances, but we didn't speak to each other. All our communication was through our phones. Is the village chief's daughter pretty? Delivery guy. You sure know how to make things up. Is the village banquet delicious? Hotel cleaner. You're not holding back either. Then we started sending memes back and forth. Our message notifications went off in constant succession. Finally, my dad couldn't take it anymore. "Stop playing with your phones. Go talk to Yue. You were just on stage saying you liked her. If you like a girl, you have to take the initiative to chase her." Mr. Su also urged her. "Go! You two young people should deepen your relationship." Su Yue pouted. "There's nothing to talk about. I'm not interested in delivery work. Mr. Su looked confused. At this moment, a waiter walked past us. I unintentionally locked eyes with him. We both froze. I know this person. Sometimes I come to the hotel to help Suyue with cleaning. Suyue is very enthusiastic and helps me with orders. So I ended up taking on the hotel's package delivery task. Chenzi isn't the sharpest, but he has an amazing ability to recognize faces. He greeted me warmly. Gu Zhe, I have several packages to send today. Come by later to collect them. After saying that, he walked away, leaving me to face the strange looks from the elders. Mr. Su forced a smile. Ziran also delivers packages. What a down-to-earth hobby. It's good exercise too. Very good. My dad looked at me with the eyes of someone who thought I was foolish. And Suyue was covering her mouth, stifling her laughter. Her big eyes turned into crescent moons. It made me both angry and want to laugh. As the celebration banquet was about to end, I finally found Suyue in the corridor. There was no one around. It was the perfect time to talk alone. But as soon as she saw me, she snorted haughtily and completely ignored me. I kept begging her. Miss, don't be mad. It's all my fault. Suyue, how could you be at fault? You've been tricking me this whole time. The more she spoke, the angrier she became. She yanked off the kunai necklace from her neck and said it was fake. Only cost 10 bucks. I just thought it looked so real. When you like a girl, you want to make her look beautiful. During our relationship, I couldn't help but send her a bunch of gifts, so she wouldn't feel burdened. I had to tell her they were fakes. Suyue shoved the necklace into my hand, fuming as she turned and walked away. So, your online romance is actually with your fiancé? What a coincidence in the world. Congratulations! At least you don't have to worry about Mr. Gu breaking your legs. After hearing the news, my troublemaker friend, Chu Wangxing, rushed over to watch the drama. I felt downcast, but she was really angry. She wouldn't even reply to my messages on WeChat anymore. At that moment, the phone dinged with a notification. It was a message from Suyue. Chu Wangxing, the girl is still willing to talk to you. You still have a chance. However, the WeChat message said, I've blocked you. Take some time to reflect. I tried to reply to her. A large red exclamation mark appeared in the chat box. As I was typing, Uncle Yin walked in carrying a box. Young master, the package from the delivery station arrived. It was sent by Miss the day before yesterday. I opened the package. The first thing that fell out was a card. It read, I found a village tailor. I had a suit made for you. Wear it the next time you meet your parents. It was really cheap. This whole suit cost just 100 bucks. Don't worry about spending my money. From Suyue. Chu Wangxing picked up the suit. He sized it up. Handmade in France. Must be worth over $1 million. Why is it that when I play games, I never get a girlfriend this good? You're a lucky dog. Chu Wangxing, bro, keep it up. Chasing your girl is a long road. Just don't get dumped. Me, no way. Just wait for the day you're my best man. I was full of fighting spirit. I started thinking about how to apologize to Suyue. First, she's really rich. Just sending gifts won't cut it. Girls like her value sincerity. I thought for a moment. I got in touch with the real estate manager from WeChat. The next day, I just moved into the Binshan villa. I waited by the fence of the Su family's villa for an entire day. Finally, I saw Suyue leaving. She was driving a pink Ferrari. It was the same one she had driven on our first date. The one parked by the roadside. Her small face was tight with seriousness. Her eyelashes fluttered like tiny fans. They blinked with each passing second. Master Gu, do you have any advice? I pointed towards the villa at the end of the road. I've moved here to live. So, are you trying to show off your wealth? No, that's not it. The D series is just too exhausting. If you get angry in the future, you can just come straight to my door. Convenient, right? Suyui's lips curled slightly upward. Then, almost instantly, she forced the smile back down. Don't think that this means I'll forgive you. In the future, this road will be the new boundary of the Chuhan River of the new era. Don't bother me again. After saying that, the Ferrari accelerated and drove straight down the hill. I watched as the car sped away. I sighed. I dialed a number on my phone. Uncle Yan, hurry, bring my car out. I drove the Cullinan, following closely behind Su Yui's car. I parked behind her car at the People's Park, where we had first met. At the park's matchmaking corner, there were still the same familiar aunties. They eagerly gathered around. I have to admit, aunties do have sharp eyes. You two look like something's off. Did you get a divorce? No! Aunties, can you wish us well instead? I watched as Su Yue was surrounded by the aunties, and they pulled her towards the board with personal introductions. A top student, also handsome. Auntie, my family is incredibly wealthy. If you marry me, you'll have everything. Su Yue hypocritically chimed in. Wow, you're also impressive. Then let's exchange contact details. It was obvious. She was deliberately trying to provoke me. It was just a tactic to get a rise out of me. Do you think I'll fall for that so easily? I sneered. Then I squeezed into the crowd. This guy isn't even as handsome as me. Take a closer look. And his academic background? Clearly, it's no match for mine. What about money? Hey, can he be richer than me? These men are all useless. From every angle, choosing me is clearly the better option. Suyui looked at me, and then suddenly laughed with a theft. Is that so? I remember someone here was a high school dropout and a delivery guy. When the aunties heard that, they got even more excited. This young man is even more handsome than a celebrity, but turns out he's a fraud. Then you're not worthy of this girl. She's like a fairy. Seeing that we were about to be completely surrounded, I grabbed Suyui's wrist and dragged her out of the crowd. Just like when we first met, she was pulling me through the crowd. 3 days later, I wore the suit that Suyui had given me and paid a formal visit to Uncle Su. The gift for my future father-in-law was a genuine DS painting that I had bought at an auction recently. When Suyui arrived, I took out a file as thick as a brick. Seeing her look confused, I quickly explained. This is my resume. I stayed up all night these past few days to organize my life experiences from childhood to now. The content was extremely detailed, including even the personal assets under my name. It even calculated down to the second decimal place. Suyui was caught between laughter and tears. I said, I guess this shows some self-reflection, right? Well, I'll have to decide after I read it all. Suyui turned around, pretending to be aloof, but secretly ran to the kitchen to whisper to the aunties. Gu Ran can't handle spicy food. Please make the dishes a little milder tonight. At the dinner table, Su uncle stared at me, beginning the father-in-law's interrogation. Z Ran. I heard from old Gu that you weren't willing to marry Yue before. So what made you change your mind all of a sudden? We, as elders, aren't old-fashioned people. We just want you both to be happy. If you two aren't suited for each other, we will never force you. I was almost ready to swear on it. Uncle, don't worry. I truly like Yue. Everything I said before was a misunderstanding. At that time, Suyue and I were still pretending to be indifferent, competing to see who was the better budget shopper on Pinduoduo. My dad noticed something was off from the way I smiled. He could tell something wasn't right with me. So I had to come clean about my girlfriend. Then my retired veteran dad gave me a good beating. I didn't expect that after the beating, he actually helped me explain things to Su uncle. I forced myself to swallow my embarrassment and told Su Uncle everything about me and Yue. As I spoke, I watched Su Yue's reaction. Her fair cheeks tinged with a faint blush. Su Uncle burst into laughter. No wonder. Turns out the person my daughter didn't want to marry is you. And now the person she's crying to marry is still you. Su Yue, embarrassed, shouted, Dad, don't talk about my dark history. I felt sweet satisfaction in my heart. Yue mentioned me to you? Su Uncle nodded. This girl is just like you. When she came back, she wanted to introduce us to a boyfriend. Didn't expect, after all the twists and turns, it would still be you. Su Yue, both embarrassed and angry, rushed upstairs. I immediately followed. I grabbed her hand. As we tugged, her elbow accidentally bumped into my ribcage. It hit the exact spot of my injury. I furrowed my brow instinctively. Su Yue, what's wrong with you? Seeing the concern in her eyes, I realized this was a perfect opportunity to play the victim. It's nothing. I just got a beating from my dad. It doesn't hurt at all. She cautiously reached out, lifting the hem of my t-shirt. Luckily, I'd been working out regularly. All my ABS were still intact, but my entire abdomen was covered in bruises, purple and blue. Su Yue lowered her head, her voice a bit choked. Why didn't you tell me? What's there to talk about? I like you. Of course, I have to take care of everything. Besides, getting DE'd this badly, that would be too embarrassing to mention. I glanced at the time, and then invited Su Yue. I still have something I want to tell you. I drove my Porsche, taking Su Yue to the Binshanzi scenic viewpoint. Su Yue looked a bit confused. Why do we need to pick a special place to talk? Not just a place, but the timing has to be just right too. I called my brothers in the group. The group name has already been changed to Gu Ran and his groomsmen. Brothers! My happiness depends on you all. One by one, the brothers replied to my message. Got it. Ready. Start. The next second, the sound of fireworks bursting continuously echoed. The light illuminated half the city. Su Yue's expression was full of childlike joy. So beautiful. I didn't even bother to look at the millions of fireworks I had spent on. I focused entirely on Su Yue's captivating smile. She noticed my gaze. With a hint of confusion, she asked, Isn't it beautiful? I blurted out, No, you're more beautiful. Su Yue's face turned bright red. She shyly glared at me. Don't look at me. You can only look at the fireworks. Then I'll look at the fireworks in your eyes. Su Yue gave me a punch. It was light, like a kitten scratching its claws. Under the sky full of fireworks. I explained to Su Yue the reason behind my lie. Back in university, I had a roommate with whom I was very close. He had a fellow villager who sometimes joined our gatherings. She was a sweet girl who matched my taste in appearance. We not only had a lot in common, but even our taste in food was perfectly aligned. My roommate often said that the junior and I were very compatible, and that campus romances were so pure. He encouraged us to date, but subconsciously I always felt something was off. I wasn't attracted to her, until one day I overheard their conversation in the classroom. Our roommate, Gu Ran, he's just a rich second-generation fool with too much money. If it weren't for his family's wealth, what does he have that compares to me? But it's okay. I'll keep gathering information for you. As long as we get him, his family's money will be ours to spend. They were kissing in the classroom, unable to pull away from each other. By the time I realized what was going on, my fist had already landed hard on my roommate's face. I punched him so hard he fell to the ground. Sorry, but apart from having more money than you, I'm more handsome, taller, and my grades are way better than yours too. Later, I moved out of the dorm, bought a house near the school. Now, I'm looking at the girl in front of me. I waited for a few minutes. Su Yue arrived. Who would have thought that I'd fake an identity for her? A young lady like her would play poor with me just to prevent me from feeling inferior? I pulled a ring out of my pocket, a 5.1 carat pink diamond. It was Su Yue's birthday gift. I asked, Su Yue, will you marry Guran? Not for the typical arranged marriage, not for the vulgar family interests, but for the simple reason that two people were lucky enough to meet and lucky enough to fall in love. The drone I had prepared in advance flew into action, forming a ring and the shape of a woman's right hand in the sky. Time seemed to pause. Everyone waited for the heroine's response. Tears welled up in her eyes. Su Yue was crying uncontrollably. Slowly, she extended her right hand to me, as I pulled my beloved girl into my arms. My mind was overwhelmed with thoughts. One important thought stood out. Thank goodness we played that game that day. Who said playing games is useless?